2 minutes. 2 minutes. And we get to finally explore the open world of Dying Light 2. Probably the part of Dying Light 2 that I've been the most curious about, most excited about, is the world, how it changes, how it adapts to your decisions. Same with the story. I think the story and the world go hand in hand. Let's go. Welcome. Hey, we up in here. Hey, you boys. DY, Zombie Slayer Farmer. How you doing? I'm finally up to date on all the Dying Light 2 news, so I'm ready to go for the stream. Barqueta, welcome back. Morning from Auckland. Joseph, how you going? For those of you who weren't here for the last stream, I was basically catching up on all the news, and I was sharing my thoughts on also Dying Light 2 being delayed. And I mentioned how Dying Light 1 received several delays. It was announced in 2013, it was supposed to release in 2014, but it got pushed back a couple times to 2015. And then when it did release, the physical copies had to be postponed another month, and only people who bought the digital version got it at first. It was a bit of a rough launch, and that's why I wasn't feeling too shaken up about Dying Light 2 being delayed. It was, if anything, kind of expected for a Techland game. They want to get it done right the first time. But I'm wondering if they're going to address the delay in this video, since the delay came after Dying to Know Episode 3. This is going to be episode 4, so I wonder if they're going to touch on that at all, or if they've said what they needed to say, and they're just focusing on showing us content. That's a big-ass glass. It's a 1 litre stein, man. It's Oktoberfest. It's the 1st of October here in New Zealand, so we're kicking off Oktoberfest. Although, Oktoberfest is in September, right? I don't know. Hey, Kiwi, how's your day? It's going excellently. I just woke up. I'm going to stream this for a while, and then I'm going to work. Oh, here we go. So many new types of infected.
Hello and welcome to the... Wait, what episode number are we on again? The 4th?
So let's count. We started with introducing Aiden Caldwell, the protagonist.
That's true. And then we looked at some of the monsters we'll find in the city.
Exactly. And then it was parkour and creative combat.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. Well,
now
4
it's the
episodes
world.
already. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. And if
I'm
you
doing
missed
great,
any
Biohazard.
episodes
Thank you
so
for tuning
far,
in.
they're all on our YouTube channel for you to catch up.
And we have already shown you so much, it might seem you know everything about the game.
But
But it's just the tip of the iceberg. So let's dive a bit deeper.
today we're going to show you the vast open world of Dying Light 2.
Doom
Even though it's
Shade, welcome.
violent, brutal, and full of death, you'll find there's a surprising amount of beauty and vibrancy in the city.
And you will hear a lot about exploration, freedom, interaction, and some secrets you may find in the city.
And at the end of this episode, there's going to be one secret left, because we're going to be doing a big old Hollywood name drop and showing you a new big name in the world of Dying Light 2, Stay Human. Who is it? You have to wait till the end to find out.
Okay. There are many elements that create the open world of Dying Light to Stay Human. The city has a diverse architecture with historic churches, a business district, modern apartment blocks, and old Villador.
Top of the morning.
It is full of immersive sounds that fill the streets, and there are plenty of characters that you will meet along the way. But it's impossible to talk about all of this at once. So let's start with the places that you will visit
Some
and
of those
explore
characters did
during
look a
your
little bit
journey.
lifeless,
And for
standing there
that,
like-
I have my next guests. Katarzyna Zielińska, Senior
Hello.
Concept Artist, and Bartosz Januszkiewicz, Lead 3D Artist. As we know, Villador is unlike any city we have seen before, mostly because the pandemic and the apocalypse have left their marks on the city. But what exactly are those marks?
Yes, we wanted the player to feel the past of the city while they're exploring it, to see the city's old glory, this old civilization, its old monuments of its old heroes, big skyscrapers, a TV tower, or
Keanu
old
Reeves.
abandoned subway stations, or even an
Imagine.
abandoned cargo ship. I mean, the city's heydays are clearly behind us, but if you explore it fully, you find old traces
Hey,
of
Donna.
the city just before the spread of the Haram virus.
That's very true. Also, during exploration, the player will see that citizens of the city are trying to bring back some of the aspects of, let's say, normality.
Okay.
And yes, they are fully aware that it's pointless, but they are still trying. To give you an example, we'll meet a man who, to add some love to the city, created something that's similar to today's dating apps. We'll also have a chance to listen to an opera singer who sings arias from years ago among the ruins.
And those are the colorful characters I mentioned. Anything to add?
Post-apocalyptic
Yes,
Tinder?
it's definitely worth exploring the major vast city of our game. Besides the player's main goals, side quests, and missions, you can venture back to the past of the city once called Villador. You can find old traces of newspapers, recordings of the mayor's speeches, books, posters, and many, many other objects that will give you that feeling and history about that whole city. There's also the past can come back in the form of audio cassettes, especially the ones recorded by a father who's desperately seeking to find out what is happening with his daughter.
Oh, I know this story very well, and it is quite emotional, right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, Bartek, thank you. Kasia, to you as well. Thank you for joining me. Of course, we have just scratched the surface of what's there in the game, but we will let you to discover it by yourself.
What up, Elliot?
Speaking of exploration, you can't jump into the city just yet, but you can start by exploring the very place where everything began, Haran from Dying Light 1, and much more, as the Platinum Edition of Dying Light is coming this year to Nintendo Switch on October the 19th. And yes, you can already pre-order it. You can find more details on our website, switch.dyinglightgame.com, so check it out after the episode. All right, back to Villador. We've glimpsed its past, we've seen its present. But what about the future of the city? Here to talk to us about that today is
This
Tom
will be about your
Schiavo,
decisions,
the
how your
world
decisions
director
can
of Dying
change
Light 2.
the city in different directions depending on who you side with.
Hello, it's good to see you again. So, can we do more than simply explore the city?
Yeah, much more. You see, when you first arrive in the city, you discover a decaying metropolis whose past glory you can really just imagine. And if you ask me, there's already beauty in that. But you know what's even more beautiful than a dying city?
Seeing it come back to life?
Exactly. In the first moments of the game, when Aiden makes it through the wall, the infrastructures are decaying, falling apart, or destroyed. But some are just dormant, waiting to be revived. So, for example, we have several electrical stations throughout the city, and of course, these have been offline for ages. But if you choose to do so, you can attempt to fix them. And if you succeed, it's a real game changer.
I wonder if you can make safe houses, like make a safe house. You know, before they were ready to go and you just flip the switch and boom, you had a safe
With
house.
electricity back on, the face of the city changes. Storefronts light up, air vents turn on and help with the navigation. Electrical traps become available to fight the
Yeah, it was
infected.
cool. The vent.
Old world remnants just come back to life. And you can explore these if you learn about the history of this place.
Ooh, and I do want to learn about the history. So we can revive the city, literally, then.
Yeah, but there are many more ways in which the choices of the player will shape the world around them.
Okay, I mean, what kind of choices are we looking at?
Well, actually, as you restore power to the city and help a new civilization rise on top of the old one, you're given one central choice. Which faction are you going to side with? It's called the City Alignment System, and besides gameplay consequences, it will give you the power to shape the skyline of the city, literally. You see, peacekeepers or survivors, according to your choice, will build different
Rope physics,
structures
yeah.
with a different function, harboring different characters inside of them.
Okay, so that's quite vague. Can we have a specific example in-game of what that might look like?
Yeah, for sure. Let's look at this situation. So in this case, for example, we chose to help the survivors. What we're going to see is they are going to build a school on the rooftop. And inside of it is a teacher teaching the kids. Now, let's look at what would happen if I chose the peacekeepers instead. You see, the school is turning into a PK rooftop outpost. And inside of it is now a shopkeeper with whom I can actually trade. And outside is an NPC who may just have a specific quest for me.
Ooh, so we've gone from a teacher to a shopkeeper here. I mean, can we actually interact with these NPCs?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, let's look at it this way. If you were to go to a foreign place, you would probably want to talk to the locals to learn about where to go, where to sleep, where to eat, where to party, maybe. It's the same in our city. You can talk to the locals to learn about the insider secret of the city and actually answer some important world questions. You know, just learn to get around in our city.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what about when the sun sets?
Well, then it's a different thing. You know, you will learn about urban legend, folk tales, and actually ranging from campfire stories through songs to rooftop theater. people will always need stories to learn how to live, and it's especially important in our city. And who knows, if you pay attention, maybe you'll realize that some of your actions, some of the choices you make in-game become stories told on the rooftops.
So I could be an urban legend in the game. That's so cool. I mean, it sounds like I'm going to need multiple playthroughs to really fully experience the richness of these choices and these worlds. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Thomas. It's been a pleasure.
I wish you would comment on that about multiple playthroughs. That'll be necessary.
If you'd like to start exploring the world of Dying Light 2 Stay Human already, why don't you go to techlandgg.com, where you'll find our whole new section with stories about the citizens of Villador.
Oh, cool.
Check them out now and let us know on our social media what you want to hear about.
Yeah, because they say that no two
And while you're
cities are going to
there,
be the
don't
same.
forget to grab all the rewards and goodies, such as these new weapons, the
can
Dragon
join your
Breath
friend's
Bow
game
and the Neon
if they're
Storm
hosting,
Neon
and their
Trusty.
city will
Go to
completely different deals
techlandgg.com
because they
to
make
get them now.
different decisions to you. Would you
My next
recommend I go
guest
through
is the
Dying Light 1
composer
first?
of the Dying Light 2 Stay Human
Yeah, if you
soundtrack,
can.
Olivier de Riviere.
You don't have to. They said you don't have to. You can just play the second game. Ah, sound design. Here we go.
I want to talk about what the main inspiration
Music.
for the soundtrack was then.
The main inspiration came from the creative director who gave me one word, broken. So that was very inspiring because it's a strong word and we wanted to spread that idea through the city, the main characters, the story, everywhere. Not only through the story actually, but also through the gameplay. So every actions, everything you're doing is supported by music.
Okay, that's a pretty strong main theme. Does that change depending on who we're talking to or what we're doing?
Yeah, definitely. What we wanted to do is to have something that will be impactful for players, that will they'll be recognized. So, for instance, you have factions in this game. Those factions have a musical theme, and then as you are giving away some zones, giving away some buildings, locations, you will give that to a certain faction. Therefore, you will have a certain music attached with the faction, and therefore the music will sound depending on your choices, which is like creating the soundscape of the city out of your choices.
Wow, yeah, so you're making it quite a personal experience then as you make your own little mini soundtrack.
Definitely, yeah.
That's really cool, so it sounds quite interactive.
It is very interactive. Let's take like, throughout all the gameplay mechanics we have, there is parkour, of course. And the idea is like on the ground level, there is like death, there is nothing. And so we didn't want to have music there. But on the rooftop, where life is back, we wanted to have a sense of freedom. So parkour happens there. And you have the music at first, if you just run, what happens is like the music is just a soundscape, something that's, it's not big. But the more moves you do, the more crazy stuff you're doing, jump over the building,
Breath
the
of the
walls, and
Wild
everything,
has like a
the bigger the
dynamic music
to
system,
such an
right? Like if
extent
you're running on a
at
horse,
some point
or
the
if you're
music
walking,
kicks
or if
in
you jump, like
into
it
a
changes
flow,
depending on what
parkour
you're doing.
flow. And now you don't even want to stop parkouring because the music is pushing you to do that. So,
Yeah. That sounds really like rewarding.
It is very rewarding.
Making your own little awesome soundtrack as you go. What about the combat then? Is that the same?
Yeah, the combat has the same treatment of being interactive, so you would have to meet, any enemy with a special melody, a special theme, but mostly it's about your actions. So if you go and fight and decide to be very, very blunt, the music will react to this, as well as, if you kill somebody, if you get away, like running away from the enemy, and everything is supported by the music.
Okay, all right. I mean, that sounds really intense. There's a lot going on. It sounds like the kind of thing we need to be able to see and hear together
This
to
guy
truly
didn't do the
appreciate.
soundtrack for Dying
why
Light
not
1,
take a
that was
look?
someone else. But he's done some amazing other soundtracks. So he's not the same guy as the composer from the first game. But I have all the faith. That was perfectly synced. The way it moves. Horizontal wall running. I've wanted that since the first game. Classic. And the music fades out. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, yeah, you can truly appreciate how it's all coming together and making, again, a really personal feeling experience. But does that kind of change depending on where we are in the map, like what location we're in?
Right, it definitely changes depending where you are in the game. So when you start the game, the music would be sort of like soundscape moody, some little things, we don't want to be too too big. But as the player goes and as you understand more of the story, as you getting more empowered, the music grows and grows and grows to such an extent that at some point the music get a new treatment and an orchestra is now supporting your actions and the story. Yes, so now it's the next level for the music. But, however, what we wanted to support as well is the personal story of Aiden. And for that, we wanted to have a very special sound, very special instrument that will make the sort of like emotional.
Okay, well, I mean, I really, really want to know more about this, but I am going to have to stop you there, unfortunately, because we need some secrets for next time, of course. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Olivier. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to hear the soundtrack.
That was cool.
Thank you.
I really like that, actually.
None of the things that we are talking about here today would be possible without the work of sound-level designers, such as Edyta Mosińska-Duralska, who makes it all work in the game.
Legend.
Hello, Edyta.
Hi. We are kind of mediators, I think, between the composer, Olivier, and the game. We implemented his music and vision into Dying Light 2, making
Pedro.
sure that it all works as it's supposed to. Like, for example, since we have so many teams, the soundtrack must switch to another system whenever player wanders off the main plot.
Okay.
Whether they fight walls, search for Mia, parkour, or enter Dark Zone, we see to it that the music gets all the changes and details in exactly those moments Olivier imagined.
And we know that music changes when you parkour, fight, or enter locations, right?
Yeah, sure.
But how exactly does it work?
So every system works a little bit different, but in fact, it all comes down to creating special zones, scripting, and level design. And we had to set up all of this manually. For example, the music needs to know if the player is parkouring in a dangerous or safe place, if they are jumping over the street, what kind of enemy they are fighting,
you're in
what's
combat,
the enemy's
yeah.
faction and rank, and so on, so on, so on. And the music knows it's all mostly thanks to special invisible zones that we add inside the game.
Okay, invisible zones, this sounds intriguing. So what are they and how many of them are there
Yeah,
in the
good
game?
question. How many?
Oh, there's so many of them. I guess millions, probably. They are, let's say,
Should you say
boxes
millions
triggering when the player enters
of
them.
different
Whenever that
invisible zones
happens,
that
they
trigger
tell
different
the music that it
millions.
needs to change. But, that's the easy part. The
How much
hard
are we gonna
one
be changing
is to
music?
set up them properly and fit them into geometry of the world, so they send right message at the right moment. I think that the windmill was really challenging in that matter.
And why was it so?
So as the player climbs the windmill, the music changes depending on the height
Okay,
they're at.
but let me assure you that players will hear the amazing music and sounds that you have put into the game. Thank you, Edyta.
Thank you.
I'm sure it'll sound like quite natural and that you won't even notice it progressing in certain instances.
If you thought the Dying Light 2 soundtrack couldn't get any more impressive, then we have something else to show you. It was played by none other than the London Contemporary Orchestra in the world-famous Abbey Road Studios. Check this out.
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Generally, I try to get the core, the substance of, let's say, a word through an instrument. And this time, I had to go back to my friend
Yes, I am from New
Nicolas
Zealand.
Bras, who's making instruments out of junks,
Shinobi,
literally
yeah.
junks. And he created this instrument that could be in the world of Dying Light 2, completely like accurate with all the little details and sort of, the roughness of the instrument.
It has that vibe of the first game, but it's just like, it's much more dynamic, the range.
Now it's time for something special. We already know Aiden, the protagonist of Dying Light 2 Stay Human.
And Hakon, who in our game has the face of
David Bell.
David Bell, the inventor of parkour.
David Bell! Now, let's meet another important citizen.
Yeah, and that's the perfect time to show you the surprise we have saved for last. You may know her from the Mandalorian series.
Or from the famous Sin City.
So without further ado,
Meet Lawan.
Imagine it is Keanu Reeves there. Imagine if you called it. that Valkyrie?
Hi, I'm Rosario Dawson. Though in Dying Light 2, you will know me as Lawan, a warrior of sorts, a very tough woman who
Where
is
have I
fighting
seen
her
her before?
past and looking to seek revenge on the people who wronged her. Now, what I really love about this game and this character is that how she is really dependent on you, the player. Is she going to be this rage-filled killer who is obsessed with her goals?
Okay.
Or will she be a night runner who risks her life to save others? It's up to you.
Senior writer
Cool.
Piotr Mostowski will tell us more about Lawan. Hello.
So let's talk about Lawan. Lawan is one of the strong, self-reliant women in the world of Dying Light to Stay Human. She is an important character with a lot of impact on the plot, but we also wanted her to be way more than that. To be a real person with her own goals, her own motivations, and her own opinions as well. So if she doesn't like something you do or something you say, she will tell you that, and she will act on it.
Clementine will remember that.
You know, sometimes even against you, and you will feel the consequences of it. She is her own boss, and her kill list is open, so you don't want to end up on it.
Also, she could be a
has kill
foe.
list.
She could be an enemy.
No, she doesn't.
I need to know more about that.
Guys, let's stop here because that's a spoiler. Peter, tell us more. Why did we choose Rosario to become Lawan?
Because Lawan is uncompromising and she's tough, and you are going to have a lot of crazy adventures with her, sometimes balancing on the verge of life and death, you know. And in the process, she can become your dearest friend or your enemy at some point. So in order to convey all that, because there is quite a lot to convey, we needed an extraordinary actor, and Rosario turned out to be just perfect, you know.
And I cannot wait to meet her in game. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
She was
Thanks.
in Men in Black 2, Clerks 2.
Dying Light 2 Stay Human is just a few months away, and on February the 4th, we'll finally be able to experience its vast and vibrant open world, complex characters, and gripping
A bunch
stories.
of other stuff.
Thank you for joining us today. Next time, we'll show you what choices you might encounter in the city and the ways in which you can change the world.
She was in Zombieland
Stay
too.
safe.
Stay human.
Nice. Cool. I was hoping for a little bit more detail on decisions and how decisions change the game. I mean, they did go into a little bit with, like, that building, how you can change it and stuff, but you think they changed Lawan's face since the last one? Okay, that's fine. We're allowed to develop characters and whatnot. I might check in with the boys, with Aussie GG, Oni Zombies, some other Dying Light YouTubers who are currently streaming this. And I think we might have like a little chat in Discord, sort of about what we've just seen. Okay. How did you guys think about that? How do you feel about what you just saw? Daredevil, let's see. Celebs being in games gives me the heebie-jeebies after Cyberpunk. That's fair. You know, the celebrities have been in games for a long time. That was just a one-off thing. I feel like Cyberpunk has put everyone on edge, right? Especially since like it's Techland and CD Projekt Red. They're both from Poland, and oh no, it's been delayed, and it's a celebrity, and like none of this means it's going to be anything like Cyberpunk. I know you're just messing around, but yeah. I wish it was a bit longer. Same. They felt like it went by really quickly. Some of these episodes have been like 30 minutes. That was 20 minutes. I want 10 more minutes of stuff about decisions and how you can change the world. Maybe if you can like build structures or rope physics. Let's talk about rope physics since The Last of Us 2 made rope physics a thing. There's already a video on the official channel. Oh, for real? Is it just like the VOD of this? Let me see here. Oh, okay. No, there's nothing there yet. Wish it was a little bit longer. I'm still feeling pretty good about the game overall. I wanted to know, like, I'm always wanting to know more and more and more and more. But I'm still feeling pretty good about the game. Someone was saying that the animations looked a bit smoother in this Dying to Know because there were some choppy animations that people pointed out in the last episode. So that's good. They would have been paying attention, like, alright, let's maybe clean some of these up, unless it was already done, and maybe we just haven't noticed yet. I bet if you slowed it down and went frame by frame, you'd pick up some choppy stuff, like there is in every game. I hope for some uncut gameplay soon. Yeah, more gameplay is always good. Rosarius from Mando, Zombieland, Daredevil, lots of movies. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I definitely saw her in Zombieland Double Tap, the second movie, which, quite fitting, considering this is a zombie game. Pretty good, there's already the DLC. Keanu in Cyberpunk was nice, but the game was bugged, so people trash talk it. Yeah, I'm sure his performance was great. To be honest, this hasn't changed much. Not much new stuff to be hyped about. I kind of agree in that there wasn't a whole lot of new, like, oh, wow, okay, like, it basically confirmed a lot of stuff that I already had a good feeling about, which is, okay, like, the world's going to be immersive, it's going to adapt in certain ways, although the detail about the audio and how the music changes depending on, like, where you are and what you're doing, that's pretty cool. I don't think that's necessarily going to be a reason why someone would buy the game, but it's just cool to know, and I really enjoy behind-the-scenes stuff from a developer's perspective. Like, just knowing how that works and how they've set up those invisible zones, I find that fascinating, personally. I remember they released a bunch of behind-the-scenes info for the first game as well, and I loved it. The stories of... I remember they talked about the zombie spawn system, how the zombies spawn in and out at a certain distance, and there was like one developer that knows how that works. I think I talked about this in the last stream. There was another developer who... You couldn't swim in Dying Light. They weren't necessarily planning on it, like there was just... You could not swim in Dying Light. And there's this one developer who was like, I want to swim. I want to swim in Dying Light. We got canals in the city. I want to swim. And so that one developer was like, just stayed overnight at the office and was just coding and just made it possible so that you can swim. And I like stories like that, about how they make those features happen. They're good stories. Either they aren't showing the choices because there aren't many, or because they don't want to spoil them. Yeah, see, they've already shown a few choices with the 2019, like 30 minutes of gameplay that they released. They did already show off some choices, so I don't necessarily want to see specific ones that will ruin the story. I want to have a clearer idea of the depth of the decisions. You say like the world changes based on your decisions, and even Lawan can be aggressive, or she can be friendly depending on your decisions. And it kind of reminds me of, like, you can say the same thing about Dishonored, well, all the Dishonored games, but let's say Dishonored 1, because it was a bit new back then, like 2011, 2010, whenever that came out, 2012. In Dishonored, depending on your decisions, how many people you kill, the game and the enemies can be a bit more chaotic, right? There's high chaos and low chaos endings. And that was really cool. It wasn't super in-depth. It didn't have to be. But, you know, the standard keeps going up, and, you know, this game has been advertised. A big part of what they're pushing forward is the way that you can build these different parts of the world and all that. So I'm just wondering, like, to what depth do your actions affect the game? But also, yeah, you don't want them to show too much. You know, we can. It's like, careful what you wish for. You know, you can ask for more and more and more and more detail, and then at some point we might be like, actually, that's too much. So overall, I'm still feeling good about the game. Yeah, there's stuff I want to know, and that's probably a good thing, right? I haven't made my mind up and be like, actually, it's not looking that good. No, like, if I want to know more and more and more, probably a good thing. They've got my interest, for sure. Animations look smoother, but I still don't like the moon gravity jump. Will there be sex scenes in the game? That is asking the most important questions out there, Deadly Plant Eater. Tell you what, man, if there aren't, I'm cancelling my pre-order, or I'm just going to refund it on day one, basically. 0 to 10, no sex scenes. especially with like the post-apocalyptic Tinder and stuff in there. Come on, is it good? Yeah. What else are you gonna do in the apocalypse? Like, I was just about to ask, the gravity. The gravity does look weird, and we talked about this last time. The way that like running and jumping, it looks really smooth. There's no impact when you land, except for if it's like a big jump and you go like boom. But like if you're running across from like one pole to another one, it looks so far like you kind of just float. Now they could still be ironing out the physics of the game. Remember, nothing is final, but we're getting pretty close to the release. So you'd think at least that would be on par. Maybe it'll feel nicer than it looks. Maybe you'll play and be like, oh, this feels right. As silly as that can sound, like, say, like the feel of a game, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to physics. Like in certain fighting games, like when you punch someone or something, like you really feel the impact of it. You know, it really makes you feel like Spider-Man. Best Gamer Ali, how you going, man? I would think one of mankind's goals would be to restore Wi-Fi. Yeah. Keanu was the only part you enjoyed about Cyberpunk. Okay. Well, hopefully they can do like a No Man's Sky where they continue to update it, you know, over the years, and support it like Techland has supported Dying Light 1 for all these years, and hopefully they can get it up to scratch, because No Man's Sky was initially really bad, and then now it's a very respectable game. So maybe they can go on the same path of redemption. I think the music will make the game so much more immersive. Can't wait to see how this all plays out. I haven't been keeping track purposefully simply because I want the surprise of the game. That's fair. What I've seen so far seems good. That's good, man. Is that the real Ali? I think it might be. I can't really go to his channel and check. But yeah, Best Gamer Ali has been streaming this as well. So shout out to that guy. We've got like a little Discord set up with different like Dying Light YouTubers, actually. It's a pretty cool time. So Oni Zombies, Aussie GG, Noviex, Spider Games, John the Chief, Best Gamer Ali. So maybe we can get together and make like a little collab happen when Dying Light 2 comes out. Or before Dying Light 2. Why wait? Do some Dying Light together. Yes, it's me. Of course, man. It's the one and only. Imagine a post-apocalyptic Tinder. Some baddie swipes right, you pull up to her house a few days later and she tries to eat you. Oh. Oh, not in the good way either. Hope we get some more Ghazi-esque missions. It does look serious. Like, because I think they're trying to really sell the tone of the game. It's more broken. We're 15 years into the apocalypse. Consequences are more dire. But it's Techland. They got a good sense of humor. They're like adding in Easter eggs, adding in funky lines of dialogue, like humor. There's gonna be some funky stuff in there. There's definitely going to be some funky stuff. Hey! Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, they cannot resist putting in a cheeky Easter egg, eh? Like, it's just who they are. And people were talking about how, like, it seems really, really serious so far, which, I mean, they're just trying to sell the overall tone of the game. It's dire, 15 years into the apocalypse, but, like, there will be some Ghazi level, like, humor in there, absolutely. I'm pretty sure they will, like, there's gotta be, like, the dad or, like, the mum somewhere. Yeah. Absolutely. How'd you guys feel about Dying to Know Episode 4 overall? Yeah, that was fantastic, eh? That was, if I'm not mistaken... Oh, sorry. You go? Yeah. Yeah, I just saw that. Hold up. Let's see here. It's because I've changed scenes, and I didn't. Hang on, voice meter. All right, sorry about that stream. You should be able to hear the guys from Discord now. So we've got Aussie GG, we got Only Zombies, we got Vilky8. Hopefully you should be able to hear them now.
Where's the
Hello?
music? I'm skimming through the episode.
They actually released the entire theme on its own. I'll link it in the server. Yeah, it's the main theme. They call it the main theme music track from Dying Light 2: Stay Human.
Nice.
There.
Run, jump, fight.
I think they have the music section uploaded as well. Let me check.
Are you expecting to see?
What'd you guys think of the parkour in there? By the way,
I think it's still a little bit floaty like it was before.
it looked pretty like slowed and like.
I don't mind that though.
Gravity doesn't really exist at some parts.
That's
Dying Light
exactly
1.
what we were saying. Like there's kind of a lack of
Yeah.
impact when you land in some ways. Like you're just kind of softly gliding. Like the gravity does seem a little floaty.
You're on the moon.
Let me show you. I'll show you where I'm talking about. It's at around like 12 minutes. Like 12:07 when he jumps into the car. He goes down really slow.
Oh yeah. He's like he's on bungee wires going down like that.
Like right here. Yeah.
Also, the trash bags aren't like color coded or universally. To pick out where to fall, but that's fine.
If it stays that way, there's gonna be a moment where you think you're gonna land safely on something, and then you just die. Like land on a bag
I mean,
of
with
rusty
how
knives.
vertical, yeah, with how vertical this game is, I feel like I'm gonna die mostly by falling to my death. I'm pretty sure. I'm not
Say
gonna
my
be
name,
disappointed
please.
though, because it's
Lincoln.
gonna be funny when it happens, but yeah.
Yeah, I think
Oh, you
the sound design was definitely like the thing that stood out to me this episode.
Yeah.
As you were saying, like kind of reminds me of. I think I haven't played it, but I've heard that Breath of the Wild is kind of similar as well, depending on how like dynamic the game is. It adapts to sort of like the pace in which you're playing. And I always enjoy hearing those behind the scenes stories of how they make it work, like all those invisible zones.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah, same.
reading about in like the first game, you couldn't swim in Dying Light 1 until really late in development. Like there was just no swimming mechanic. And then there was a developer who stayed overnight in the office and was like, I want to make it so we can swim. And like one person made that happen.
Props.
Yeah. It's just I like stories like that, just knowing how this stuff came to be.
Yeah. I also like how I mean, on top of that, how they explain mechanically how things work. They said like, maybe they exaggerate the million, but like a lot of sort of invisible boxes where you hit, and then like the musical cue starts playing because of where you are. I like that kind of explaining how it works on the technical side of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
How would you say this compares to the other episodes?
I'd say
Absolutely love this one.
Yeah, I really liked
probably
it.
my favorite.
I felt as though besides the way that the music works in that dynamic way, this more or less just like confirmed what I'd already assumed about the game, which is good because I was assuming good things. It wasn't like there was a lot of stuff that's like, oh shit, no way. But it was like, okay, cool. Like it's good to know this is kind of along the lines of what I thought it would be, and it's looking good. How about yourself, man?
I said this before. I don't think chat heard me though, but yeah, like music's one of my biggest like things that that make or break a game for me, or a TV show or movie. Music is just like almost like 50% of the experience for me, and
nice.
I'm really happy that they showed this off because it really elevated my. Wait, how am I saying this? It really made everything better. Just overall for me, like it was something that I was actually really wanting to know, especially after they removed the previous not removed, but like they parted ways with their previous composer who's always stuck with them through the Dead Island, Call of Juarez, and Dying Light soundtracks that he made for them. And then I was a bit worried, but then after hearing what Olivia's done and that interview there was, I have all my worries are gone now. It's just, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have complete faith in the guy, eh?
He has a pretty good repertoire behind him as well. Like,
yeah.
He's done Black Flag or something like that, right? I think.
I believe it was.
I believe he did. I believe he did Black Flag. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I am asking chat right now to see what they think about the episode.
I've seen a lot of people who are disappointed because they didn't see new gameplay, and I can understand that. Although I personally have seen enough gameplay that I just want to know more about the other details and stuff, which is what we're getting in these episodes. So I'm happy. I'm satisfied, especially with the music, as I said before.
There's so much that they showed off into this. Like, you can't even begin on where to dissect it all. You don't need a 2 to 3 minute gameplay trailer every single time. Like this right here. Okay, this is awesome. All right, I love this. I love using the vent to go and fly across.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Imagine tying that with the glider. So like
exactly.
Like those old Zelda games where you just get pushed up. Like there's like a line of vents and you just go whoop, whoop. You just fly across the city like that. Imagine that'd be funny.
Speedrun strat.
Hey, are you expecting to see a T-shirt again? And I don't know. No idea.
Oh yeah, I realize you're wearing that one right now, Kiwi.
Yeah. I have no idea. We spoke about it at E3 2019, like joked about it being in, but like I don't know, haven't spoken about it since. Yeah, I feel like we've definitely seen a lot of gameplay. The one thing I suppose I am always wanting to push to know more about is the choices system, and just like to the like specific extent to which it shapes your world. They have given some examples and showed it off, and I know it's hard to show that off without spoiling some of the choices you can make. Even with like the E3 2019, like the 30-minute demo they showed off, that was awesome. But I was like, I kind of wish I didn't know the outcome of some of those decisions. Like, I want to know, but I don't want to know.
yeah, that's true.
Because there are so many games that say, oh, your choices affect the world and whatnot, and it varies quite a lot. So like although I do feel good about it, I'm always pushing to know more, I suppose.
Yeah, it's always one of those things that people seem to overtalk and underdeliver with a lot of games. There are exceptions, of course, but there aren't that many. So that's probably my biggest concern with Dying Light 2. Although personally, that's not what made me like Dying Light. So what made me like Dying Light is of the smoothness of how the parkour and combat just all flowed together really well. That's like the thing that needs to be right in Dying Light 2. But if they're making the choice system a big selling point, then yeah, they really need to get that right as well.
Yeah, like they talk about it, like every opportunity that they get, they talk about the choice system. So if it doesn't actually live up to what they're saying, they're just shooting themselves in the foot by because they're really hyping it up every single time.
Yeah, like the first game was great without it, but the fact that this has been such a big focus in the beginning, and they brought in Chris Avallone, and it's like, oh, he's the Fallout New Vegas guy, and it, like, yeah, like it's surely it's got to be pretty in depth.
Like it's one thing to say, oh, our game has choices, it'll change the world, but what is it, next week or not next week, next episode, they're going and centering their episode entirely around the choices in the world. So like they clearly have a lot to say about it, and if it doesn't go as far as they're hyping it up to be, they're really just like shooting themselves in the foot with it.
Yeah. One like mechanic that I want to know more about, like exactly how it works, is the stealth mechanics in Dying Light 2. So I talked about this in the last stream I did, but Dying Light 1 to me is very much when it comes to stealth, it's lost in some kind of like middle ground where it doesn't do it great. It's there in some instances, but it's very situational. And like once bandits like see you, they know exactly where you are at all times. You can't come back to the to the settlement, and then like they don't have stealth meters. There's no like detection meters, nothing, no alert system. Well, not an in-depth one anyway. And it's kind of inconsistent. I remember when I first played through the following, I had a really cool moment. I was playing no heads-up display nightmare modes. It was really difficult, and I managed to sneak around all the enemies and jump in the buggy and like make a quick escape. And that was the one time I felt like Dying Light did stealth in a whole like complete like fulfilling way. And other than that, like yeah, you got the camouflage around zombies and stuff, but I was always in the first game hoping for something more. Like if you're going to have decisions that shape the game, really make them shape the game. If you're going to have stealth mechanics, really go in depth with those stealth mechanics. So like I can make it consistent so I can understand and really like use it to my advantage. What are your guys' thoughts on like the stealth in general?
I agree with that, and I actually like how you brought up that specific segment from the following, because the soundtrack that plays is called Stealth, and in that specific area, if you quietly kill all the enemies, then you quietly kill all the enemies. However, if you alert at least one of them, 3 guys spawn out of a building with guns.
Yeah.
And that does not happen if you actually stealth your way through the whole thing, which is quite nice.
That is cool.
I do agree though that like for me with Dying Light 1 stealth, it's pretty limited, even though it is there. They just kind of have like the yellow sort of hey what's that sort of thing on the mini map, and then as soon as they see you, they just turn red. And on top of that, you have like basically like little to no feedback as to your detection. You can't really tell at all. You just kind of have to read them, I guess. But that's only after playing the game for such a long time. You can kind of tell how the AI behaves and stuff. I feel like if there's, I mean, everyone likes to have like stealth meters on top of enemies, or like on top of a HUD or something. I'm not sure how Dying Light 2 is going to do that, but I hope there's going to be some sort of good implementation there.
I was gonna say for the stealth in Dying Light 2, we haven't seen an actual takedown, have we? We've only seen
there was the ledge where he was
people
underneath
moving
someone
past.
and he grabbed him and threw him off. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if that was a stealth takedown though, but I think it would have been though because he wasn't aware.
Oh, yeah,
Hopefully it wasn't a cutscene.
That's for human AI. But like, what about with
zombies?
Infected AI? Because we saw
Oh, yeah.
he's going through like the quarantine zone, or that part with Hakon in one of the trailers.
Oh,
He's
yeah, 'cause you
sneaking
have to
through and
stealth that,
everything.
yeah.
So I'm wondering, like you stealth it, like when you try to take down somebody, do you do like one of those Far Cry animations where you just stab them right in the back and you take them down, or like it's something different, or like once you attack them, is that it?
That's a good question, because I'm not sure if you.
'Cause it looked like you just sneaked it past them that
Yeah.
entire like way through. It doesn't look like you're, at least from what we've seen, it doesn't look like you can take them down.
Yeah, without alerting the others, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys notice or like remember it all, but when they initially showed gameplay for Dying Light 1 in one of the earlier trailers, they had like 5 extra stealth animations for stealth kills on zombies. And then in the final game, it was just the one animation where you just like snap their neck and that's it. But they had different ones where like you stab them from behind, like you actually use your weapons and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see, even just from like animation perspective, just adding a bit more variety in there, because we've seen a couple stealth kills on human enemies. Yeah, there was the ledge pull in that 30-minute E3 2019 demo. There was some stealth kills in there as well. Like there was a takedown, I think, if I recall correctly. But yeah, we haven't seen anything for zombies. We haven't seen anything to do with camouflage either, or like what the options are there. So I wonder if they've nerfed that, because they nerfed the grappling hook for obvious reasons. Camouflage, I feel like, was a bit of a crutch as well. Like I'd always just be slapping that shit on and running around. Like it just made it so much easier. And then of course they brought in the upgraded volatiles in the following, which could see through the camouflage. But I wonder if they're going to be bringing that back to some capacity or nerfing it.
It's funny. I don't know how in depth they go with like siding with certain factions and everything. Like whether or not it's like if you side with one faction, you get like these certain skills and whatnot. because I could totally see like the camouflage being tied to like the survivor faction.
Oh,
Something like that.
Yeah.
Some food for thought, but
Hey, Trish.
if they just have skills overall, like just like the last game, and not tied to anything, then I can see it being there too.
Yeah.
Did they show off, like maybe this was like 2019 or 2020 era, but didn't they show off like a empty swimming pool area where it changes to like a training room or like some sort of chemical factory depending on who you side with.
Yes.
I don't know if something like that's changed or something, but like I don't know. I kind of like the idea, but at the same time, for me being a completionist, I think I said this before somewhere, but I like to have everything if I can, and if I feel like sure, I'm unlocking some tree skill item thing going this way, but that also means I'm locking myself off by not choosing the alternative, and yeah, I don't know.
I see both sides to that.
Yeah.
Because like players love glitching the hell out of their games and exploiting it. And let's be honest, Dying Light, there's a duplication glitch all the time. And I can easily see it being happening. Like it's gonna be exploited to like a new extent if there's like multiple saves or stop and save here. Like, have your friend join at this time. I don't know.
Bug out this section where you can have peacekeepers and survivors at the same time in the same location.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because like I'm also a bit of a completionist, but I also like having an excuse to play through another time and get a different experience.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
This is going to sound like a strange comparison at first, but in Dead Island, you can't max out all of the talents. You can get most of the way there, but you can't unlock all the skills in the skill trees because there aren't enough points. And to me, that added a kind of RPG element where you're building your character a specific way. It's not super in-depth because once again, you can unlock mostly everything. Whereas in Dying Light, of course, you can unlock every single thing, and they added like legend skills on top of that, and you become this huge, powerful guy in every kind of regard. And I don't know, I kind of like the idea of like building your character a specific way, whether that be through the skill trees or through your decisions, and only having access to certain skills and certain facilities because of those decisions you made, and that builds who you are. And then the next time you play through, you've got a different character because of the way that you've played them. If I had to choose, I would probably lean more towards having that character be built a specific way and it being different per playthrough. But that might be a bit hopeful in terms of like how in depth that could potentially be. But I understand.
I think that would also.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I understand like wanting to unlock everything as well. Like that's all.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I think part of the charm of having this unique build, if it's going to be something like that in Dying Light 2, I'm pretty sure it is though, is that it will help. It will really help with people seeing each other in co-op, not just with how their world looks, but also how each of the character plays. More than just everyone being the exact same when maxed out.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think that'll tie into they'll kind of really enhance the co-op vibe of the game.
Yeah, it just plays into that factor. They're already talking about how the worlds are going to be different from each other. So if you can ramp up and like the character is different, that's true. Because it is. Yeah, you're all the exact same Kyle Craig, even if you're using different skins and stuff. You're all, exactly the same. I wonder what some of these animations we're talking about parkour, like what some of these we're talking about co-op. I wonder what some of these like parkour animations and stuff are going to look like in third person, because they're so much more in depth in first person right now. And I wonder if they're just going to look, I don't know, just like default kind of not jank, but they're like just your standard third person, or because I can imagine it'd be really difficult to pull that off.
DL1 had that sort of semi-jank to the third person animations, which is kind of unavoidable because you kind of really have to strain yourself if you really want to perfect it. So I can understand.
And it worked.
Yeah, it worked. It was fine. I didn't really care about that much at all.
Yeah.
This parkour looks a little. It looks really.
I love how you can interact with the environment so much. It's just that again the Mars gravity level of the jumps here just feels really weird.
Yeah, it's very bouncy right there. Yeah, I'm watching it on your stream, Oni, and just
Just look in Discord. I'm screen sharing.
Oh yeah, it's a bit laggy there. We're just watching it on your stream. It's much better. It's much
okay.
clearer.
Okay. Yeah, like around here. I'm on the Dying to Know episode, so I'll link it in chat. Around like 11:50, like when he's jumping on like the chimneys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
really.
I
actually
it's
spoke
like it
about
looks
this to
like
someone else.
a bouncing pad.
Yeah, I was actually really concerned about one part of Dying Light that I absolutely really do not like is the magneting. How the game will pull you in a certain direction towards trash bags or like a top of a car so you won't die from fall damage.
Did you
That
see
can
how it
actively-
was? Did you see how it was with the enemy in like a couple of those clips that we got?
Oh yeah.
Let me find it.
So because of the magnets in Dying Light 1 where like it kind of pulls you towards something to make sure they don't fall off, you kind of feel like you lose a lot of control, and it's probably probably one of the worst parts of Dying Light 1 for me, just from like a smooth gameplay perspective. But I really hope that something like that isn't taking place in Dying Light 2 in this gameplay that we're seeing, with all like the sort of floaty pulls towards certain objects just to try and keep you on.
If you look at my stream, you can kind of see somewhat what you're talking about. It wasn't as bad as Dying Light 1, but you can totally see the pulling occurring when Aiden is wall running.
Yeah, I can sort of understand that the vibe where if you come off a wall run and you get pulled towards an enemy to drop kick them, it kind of makes it easier for you to play to connect that drop kick rather than miss and kind of lie on the ground for a second. But at the same time, again, it kind of removes that little sort of freedom of how you would play. I don't know. There's kind of multiple ways you can look at this.
Because it's like when you look at the wall run without the enemy there, it's a lot more fluid than with that enemy just standing there.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like when you go into a drop kick, if there's like a little, sort of animation hitbox, and if you hit it, then it'll just go into like, it'll kind of pull you into the animation of drop kicking that guy rather than like, drop kick that happens to connect with the guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of just reminds me of the classic death from above and drop kicks in PvP.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking actually too, without directly referencing it. It's kind of like in BTZ where, if you do a drop kick, it goes into an animation rather than, rather than just like naturally playing out sort of thing.
Yeah, it's just probably just the way to just connect the moves and make it feel not necessarily feel as seamless, but just work well.
Yeah, I don't really know how this will play out until we get our hands on it, but I'll hold my judgment on that for now because it can be great, but it can also be pretty limiting in how you play, especially when you accidentally magnet to the wrong person in a group of people. I can feel like that can be
yeah.
It's like, I didn't want to drop kick that goon and I'm dead.
I had when there's like a clip where there's like a bunch of enemies in front of Aiden, and like the pulling is actually working properly. It didn't look like it was magnetizing towards people that he didn't want to go to. So there's a plus for that there at least. But in an actual game, like when we're playing, it could be very different.
Yeah, speaking of, just since we mentioned it briefly, we haven't heard anything about PvP, have we? Nothing about it being confirmed. Just like absolutely nothing.
Nope.
I think that'll be one of those. If they are going to put it in, it'll be one of those last like trailers that they release. It's like, oh, let's go. Okay, pre-order spike. Let's go. Like,
how was the marketing for Dying Light 1's PvP?
How was the what? Sorry,
it was a pre-order exclusive.
It was. Yeah,
they only made like one trailer for it.
So
yes, they only made it available for everyone at some point through the first year before they released the following, I think.
So here's what happened. The Be the Zombie was Vilky's absolutely right. It was a pre-order exclusive. Which, if you think about it, if they actually went ahead with that, they would have sucked because it was hard enough finding matches as it is.
Yeah.
But when the game, first of all, the first game got delayed several times. It was supposed to release in 2014. It ended up releasing in early 2015. And when it released, it only released digitally. If you ordered a physical copy of the game on disc, it actually got delayed for another month. So you didn't have the game, meanwhile other people were playing it digitally, which kind of sucked if you pre-ordered the disc. So what they did to compensate was they made Be the Zombie free, and then they added in some extra, like some DLC bonus stuff as well. So it was actually just going to be pre-order exclusive, and I'm glad in the end it wasn't, for obvious reasons. That's a really good point that I forgot about. So I guess we'll see when they touch on it. You'd think if they weren't going to have PvP, they can easily just say that. They can say, guys, don't expect PvP. We're going in a different
That's
direction.
what I'm saying. Like,
there's not going to
I
be
feel like they
PvP.
could just come out and say that now, and like,
Yeah.
people will be fine with it. But
If
like,
there is going to be PvP, they're going to do the big reveal, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we don't know what the DLCs are gonna have. Like, they might just drop the first DLC that comes after launch, and it's gonna be some kind of PvP mode. Like, you know how Bosek was something way
well,
different
isn't
than
it
the
2 story
actual
DLCs?
story of Dying Light.
Mm.
And
I
like,
think it's 2 story DLCs.
Yeah, but there could be other DLCs other than that.
True.
It's just
I know.
Like, you know, the
I did
story
like
DLC
a.
is a big selling point. So
I did like a deep dive into the company that developed BTZ, and like they got acquired
Digital
by.
Skate?
Yes, they got acquired by CD Projekt Red. So, for BTZ, if it were to be in Dying Light 2 or something like that, it's not going to be. From what I've seen, it's not going to be developed by them because like every project that they've been working on since Dying Light has mainly been Cyberpunk. For a multiplayer that may not even come out, by the way, for them. But so if they were, it would probably have to be Techland developing it. Or
Yeah, I mean,
if
let's
they did
not
another company.
let's not forget about Dying Light Bad Blood. Rest in peace.
That's what I'm saying. They did.
Like
they
little-
did do Bad Blood, but
Yeah, and
I
that
feel
could have
like
been
if
like
they
a testing
didn't-
ground for human combat in Dying
yeah,
Light 2. Human
I
PvP.
was thinking that for quite a while after they kind of just left it lying in the dirt.
especially when the parry was like literally the same as Dying Light 2. Like,
That's
it could have been a
true.
test how well the parrying works against other players than just AI.
Good observation. Yeah.
I genuinely think if they do have any kind of PvP in this game, it's going to be like some sort of like faction-based PvP where you represent a faction and you go to other players who represent different factions. I don't know how.
That sounds exactly
that's
like
gonna
Dark
work.
Souls.
Dark Souls invasions.
Yes.
Hey, peacekeepers for life. No survivors. And it's like,
Yeah,
instead
that could
of-
actually work.
I feel like
Yeah.
this game would really benefit with like a. I mean, it's been overdone so many times at this point, but something like a versus mode from like Left 4 Dead or even Back 4 Blood, like that was pretty well done. Something along that realm would be pretty cool.
like a whole mode where you have to go from A to B, and it's like PvP where like one team controls like zombies and one team controls humans.
Maybe not even A to B. I don't think that would work in like Dying Light world.
I feel like
I could totally see like an infected versus humans, but not a 1v5, maybe like a 4v4. Obviously, the infected would have to be toned down a lot. It can't be anything like it is in BTZ, but I feel like it could work.
I feel like the special infected in Dying Light do like they're already good enough to be playable characters. Like they have like they're not the same kind of really weird mutations compared to the normal biters they were in Dying Light 1, but instead they like you could actually make them playable in Dying Light 2.
Also, I just saw
They have very simple abilities.
I was just passively watching your stream only. I saw that during the Rosario Dawson segment that they had like Aiden using his parachute, and you could see multiple vents with air coming out of them, just as I was talking about, like in the
Oh, can you?
like in
That's
Zelda.
awesome.
I think there's a part. Hold on, I'm watching a stream right now on Discord, and let's see if can't remember where it was, but it was like a nighttime shot where they jump off the roof.
Oh,
yeah, there it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
look
it
at
is.
that.
That's awesome.
Oh my
What game?
god!
What? There's another game. It's not Zelda, but there's another game where you do the same thing. You take a parachute, you hit the vents, you fly back up, and you can just keep doing that over and over. What game is that?
I think I played that in one Ratchet and Clank game as well, but it's probably not what you're thinking of.
I don't think it's Ratchet and Clank. Chat, help me out. There's 100 of you. What game is it? Someone's got to know what I'm talking about. Is it Sly Cooper?
Oh,
Sly Cooper?
maybe?
I think it's Sly Cooper.
I've already played the first one.
This is like something in the third one, I think. Sly Cooper parachute.
Oh, I like what NTF Wavy said. Maybe a small follow-up on the tower after the following for DL2 DLC, kind of like sort of like a Origins thing, or like tying the first game and second game together.
Yeah, bridging those 15 years.
I feel like what Techland's doing, which I kind of understand, is kind of really separating themselves narratively from the first game, so they have as much freedom as possible.
Yeah.
But also, saying, oh yeah, it's in the same world, just to establish the fact that it is a sequel, it is still in the same universe, but they have this narrative freedom now since they've basically distanced themselves with the time and the place. But I do hope that they do something for everyone who's played Dying Light 1 and just kind of have, at least maybe something in the base game, like notes and stuff you could read. But yeah.
It's Sly Cooper. Yes, I was right.
It was.
It was.
Hey.
I love this game so much. Yeah, he takes it's a paraglider. He flies around and he goes up.
I'm watching it. Yeah. Oh, Slide 2. I never played Slide 2. I only played Slide 1.
Dude, Slide 2 is one of the best games of all time. It's so good. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. I would love if they did something like this in Dying Light 2.
Honestly, it looks like it though. If you go back to the Dying Light 2 one, you see the multiple vents close by together. Honestly, it looks like you can do that.
It could work. I feel like you could take the bottom two to go and get up higher to this bigger one. I totally see that happening.
Do we think David Bell's character is going to punch a TV at any point?
I honestly feel like they're hyping him up, and I feel like he's an introductory character who's going to get killed off. Like, I don't see how he can play a pivotal role in the story right from the get-go if he's someone who shows you the ropes in the beginning. If he's gonna they're gonna Raheem him,
Yeah, I mean, even Bricken isn't too involved. In the main game of Dying Light, And
At one point, he just he disappears. He just leaves without trace.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He just despawns.
That pop-in texture. No.
Also, I feel like her character here is kind of teaching you. It looks like she might be teaching you how to use the paraglider because it looks like a set piece with like a lot of vents that are very, very convenient. So this might be near the beginning of the game too. Or actually, no, you wouldn't get the paraglide at the beginning of the game, would you? Maybe at some point, one of the main quests, she kind of like introduces you.
Well, maybe it goes, Hakon.
Look, she hands you the backpack, yeah.
And then you go into this section?
Yeah, I think so.
Does he have his biomarker at this point?
Because you're following her. You're following her, so...
Yeah, let's see if he has his biomarker. That can really tell us kind of where we're at. But I assume Hakon would go over... Yeah, he's got his biomarker. I assume Hakon would go over parkour, and then she might go over all the tools and everything.
Yeah, maybe. But that means like, what happens to Hakon? He might just be Breckenified and just like be absent for the rest of the game, only seeing him every now and then, or.
And then you'll find him being a part of a secret cult, like Khan in the following.
Oh yeah.
He turns out to be the villain.
Where does she go? Where did she go?
Died there. She just fell to the ground.
Yeah, she just died right here.
Her pack failed to open.
Tragic death.
Oh, maybe it's gonna be one of those things where like
expired on the way down.
Maybe you know does that like video game thing where the cutscene ends and like the character just runs behind you and you look back and then they're just gone. Like they should still
Oh,
be there.
yeah.
You should be able to look at them and they just disappear. Like in the first
Yeah.
game, like Jade only exists in cutscenes. There is no physical like a model that you can interact with until the very end at the museum. And I'm just
Yeah,
hoping
I
that like
remember that.
the characters are gonna feel a little bit more real. Because the way they just appear and then suddenly conveniently disappear every time after a cutscene is like, okay, like it doesn't feel like they're actually there. It feels like I just
Yeah,
watched a
I
clip.
remember Raheem doing that in the prologue as well. Like,
Yeah.
if you skip all his dialogue fast enough, you can just see him just run around the corner and literally disappear if you catch up to him.
I haven't done that actually. That's great.
Like, you know, when he
Brain
jumps
text and
down,
everything.
when he jumps down to the bottom, he goes, "Ah, my leg!" And then he like baits you down, and then he
yeah.
calls you out for it, and then runs around the corner. You can actually just skip all the dialogue, and he still stands there, and you can go up to him. You can see him just turn around and then just disappear as soon as he goes around the corner. But like, you can actually see him physically disappear because you're already around the corner.
Oh, that's great.
Also, she's wearing a mask like a lot of the other bandits are. I wonder if she's doing
I was
this
gonna
to blend
say,
in.
yeah.
Or if she's part of them and she's more of a freelancer or something. I don't know.
Or she
I'm
just took their mask. to
I'm
fit
sure
in.
you guys have gotten this question a lot, but like, do you know what faction you're going to side with? You got a plan going into the game?
The good guy in me wanted to go with the survivors, but honestly, I feel like the peacekeepers would be a lot more fun in terms
Oh,
of
yeah.
gameplay.
I'll pick the one that benefits me the most. Like as soon as I know like what am I gonna get from them gameplay wise, I'm gonna pick the one that I want.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be won over by the narrative enough to be like to like make my decisions based on moral choices rather than gameplay choices. I'm not sure if I'm going to be, making choices in story or gameplay. I probably will be doing gameplay unless the story is actually really good, and I'll probably start making moral choices instead.
Nice.
You know,
I don't know.
if they actually make
say
you
that
get
too, but
attached, like if
Go
they
ahead,
actually
sorry.
make you get attached to a character, unlike in Dying Light 1, then I might actually make some moral choices and try to like get that character to stay alive for as long as possible, but we'll have
I
to
don't know.
see.
I totally see myself just picking survivors all the way through, at least for my first playthrough, and then afterwards. I mean, I'm gonna do a crap ton of playthroughs, so.
Of course.
But
I still don't know enough about each faction to like probably do make a decision, because like, oh yeah, they all have the good and bad sides, and they all have their hidden agendas and stuff, so you don't really know until you play it, so I can't really definitively answer the question. But then again,
That's what I
don't know.
like. I like that
Yeah.
it's not there's a good and a bad. Oh, this is the good side, this is the bad side.
Yes, I absolutely love that.
Yeah, because my plan going in, I don't know who I'm going to side with yet. Like, it's going to be... My goal is to be as immersed as possible, so I'm probably going to make decisions based on story, and it's going to be individual decisions. Like, in this moment, which one of these specific decisions benefits me more, rather than having an entire plan to stick with one faction? I'm
I feel like
hoping I
that's the
can
way
do
to
that.
go.
you gotta
if you wanna-
hope. You gotta hope. You gotta hope the game lets you do that too.
Yeah.
like,
or does it
you
lock
gotta,
you
like,
in?
It's like, wait, like,
Yeah.
if you get to a certain point, like say you do like 5 decisions with the peacekeepers, does that just lock you into the peacekeepers for your entire
might,
playthrough?
yeah.
Or is it like the same thing with the survivors? Or can you flip flop back and forth and be like, yeah, I want to screw over the peacekeepers this mission. I want to build a school for the survivors now. Or like that's I'm
It's like-
hoping they kind of explain that in the next episode.
Yeah,
They
if word
can
goes
kinda
around,
say-
usually in Villador, like people be like, "Hey, Aiden, what are you on? You were helping us, and then all of a sudden you just backstabbed us like, in the next section."
Yeah. So I feel like when you get to a certain point, it's gonna cap you out. Like oh, you got to do this for.
Maybe there's
now.
like a faction influence or like a karma system like in Fallout, where you can only do so much with a faction if they like you to a certain extent. So perhaps if you side with one faction more, you'll lose out on even helping in some instances with other factions. But at the same
Oh,
time,
I'm
you
pretty sure
also
they
unlock.
said that.
Really?
I'm pretty sure they said like, well, I know it'll lock you out in certain quests and stuff like that. I mean, even in this video, if I can find it,
do so
Let's see.
to build a school on the rooftop.
When they get the peacekeepers to make the outpost instead.
Rooftop outpost, and inside of it is now a shopkeeper with whom I can actually trade.
It's loading.
I feel like the shopkeeper isn't really that much of a selling point, considering that there's probably a lot of other shopkeepers.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, a specific quest for
See, that's more interesting.
peacekeeper at this specific location, nonetheless, too.
NPC who may just have a specific quest for me.
Ooh, so we've gone from a teacher to a shopkeeper here. I mean, can we actually interact with these NPCs?
Well, you can talk.
You're right. What if you make like a survivor safe house and then you just go full on peacekeeper for the rest of the game? Can you go back to that safe house?
Yeah. Well, someone pointed out, they said, think of New Vegas. Once you get past a certain point, you can't progress with them unless in some side missions. I think that should be how it works. I just don't know how it actually would work in Dying Light 2.
If anything, that makes the most sense, especially given Chris Avalone's influence in early development. Like, they obviously had an initial goal with how they wanted it to work, and they got Chris Avalone on board. So I think it makes sense. If you were to model it after anything, Fallout New Vegas is probably our best guess.
But
yeah,
the thing is, it's always a heavily debated question too, about how much of Chris's work is still in the game.
Yeah,
that's true.
But I think they got him on board because they wanted his expertise and his way of doing things.
They wanted his work. They like his work. And they had to part with them, even if they didn't want to, because of just,
everything going on with them. Yeah.
Yeah. So how much of his work remains? How much of his influence will dictate the final outcome? I guess there's nothing you really do besides speculate at that point.
Someone says, "I hope there isn't more popping problems with textures."
Yeah, they're
I kind of agree, but I don't really see that as a problem. Dying Light 1 had that, and also Dying Light 1 actually looked pretty jank a lot of the time during a lot of the gameplay demos, even before the release of the game. So I always like, whenever I see gameplay like this, I always kind of like, I don't really pay attention too much to the mechanical downsides of gameplay that's seen, because that can easily change compared to narrative and intentional design choices.
I think it all goes together. Definitely don't want random shit popping in. It depends on what it is, obviously, but so, yeah, like you said, there was like trees that were popping out. Let's see, paraglider.
And you will feel the consequences.
That's a fair point, Cap. Someone in my chat said, like, I've been burned by mechanically clean demo reels before. Like, show me the jank and tell me you'll fix it, rather than trying to present the game
good point.
as it
That's
isn't.
a really good point.
Its current state. Like, that's a fair point, actually.
If you show your worst side, then you have nothing to hide, and people can trust you more. And people have an expectation of, well, like, honesty is always really nice, as well as the fact that you have this expectation of, oh, I'm not going to be blown away, or I'm not going to be like disgusted when something when something jank happens in my game that is not shown.
Yeah, people do like the comparisons, like E3 versus final product. Like, they lied to us. The textures are slightly different.
Yeah, exactly. I also think that with a scale of the game like this, especially since Techland hasn't done something like this before, they're not a small team, but compared to all the big AAA bigwigs out there, they're definitely small in comparison with a project this big.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there is going to be jank regardless, considering the Dying Light 1 still has jank all these years later anyway. And I don't think it's that much of a takeaway though, as long as the core, as long as like all the core mechanics and design and everything is really good. I mean, just look at Dead Island. It's one of the jankiest games that I know, but it still has its charm to it.
The jank is exactly why I love Dead Island.
Yeah,
I love the jank. It's so charming.
I have I have a love and hate relationship with the game. I absolutely get so mad when I'm like speedrunning the game and the biter just throws a knife at me, insta kills me, even at a max, Sam B max health. But at the same time, it's kind of like the character of the game. It's so jank with like the characters looking dead in their eyes and the gameplay, the co-op animations, biters doing weird shit. Oh, it's just so funny.
You kick a beach ball and you die. Like it's just, this is Dead Island. This is the Dead Island experience, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What do you guys think of the player models and everything in that realm of things?
It looks very high tech for it being Dark Ages in that shot that you're hovering over right now with the biomarker. I mean, I like the look. It's just that I don't think it really fits the idea of it being modern Dark Ages. I mean, it looks cool. That I would dig wearing that, but it looks very high tech, especially with the biomarker bit and everything.
Yeah, it could be a bit more worn down, a bit more like medieval-esque.
I think we've seen that outfit actually. Let me find it.
Isn't that the one in one of the concept arts of like Aiden standing there?
That's what I think it is. I think it's exactly that one.
With like the weird collar on the coat.
Yes. Is it this one?
Oh, we're only seeing your Chrome stream.
It's not. Oh, I don't. It's not. This isn't the one I'm looking at. What? Oh, okay. This one. It's not that one.
Ah.
I don't think it's that one.
Yeah,
I think
there is one that had like a really weird collar, and people were arguing about it in the Dying Light 2 channel, like what outfit they have.
Oh,
the best
here.
and everything.
I can. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Come on. This is the one. How do I copy? This is the one. Nope. There it is.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that's it. The legs.
There's
really
no, that's absolutely it.
It looks really good in first person, I think.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Like third person, but the first person view of these outfits is like really good compared to like whatever bare hands Eden had in like the early gameplay.
And I feel like, first person's what matters since 99%
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what you see.
Especially in Dying Light.
My chat was 40% said this was the best episode.
Oh, nice. Okay.
50% said okay, and 10% said the worst.
You can't really get worse than the previous Dying Light to know, though, right?
Yeah, I know.
Like that one was like almost universally hated, even though I personally thought it was okay.
What did they have in it anyway? I didn't watch it.
They just basically, it was mainly talking. That's why people got really pissed with it. But they were just explaining a lot of mechanics and how things work. I was actually interested in how weapons work. It's like Dead Island. You could level it up by, I'm not sure how, but you level it up kind of like you just improve its stats. And I think it goes up to like 8 or 10. Because I remember in Dead Island, it goes up to 4.
Yeah.
You can upgrade a weapon 4 times. And they're bringing that mechanic back in Dying Light 2. Something small, but I kind of like that. They were also talking about... Oh shit, what were they saying? They showed off a lot of the traps, depending on like, if you side with survivors, you get a lot of bouncing pad things that boost you up if you jump on them, and other parkour things to help you. If you help the peacekeepers, you get a lot of traps like the car traps and the electricity floor traps as well. And they showed some gameplay of that happening. I kind of like the explanation more of it rather than the actual gameplay, but a lot of people were disappointed because, no gameplay. I kind of feel like the general crowd of the community kind of just want gameplay every single time a new episode comes out. I just feel like, it gets very samey.
That's like their expectation.
Yeah.
Grug no want to hear talk. Grug want to see game.
Yeah, have you seen the? Did
Yeah,
you see the Twitch chat during this one? That was atrocious.
No.
I did not.
Twitch chat was.
I turn
it's
it off
Twitch
when I'm
chat.
live streaming.
Well, I had to help moderate it with Unti and the others, but it was pretty abysmal.
Like, we're definitely getting the
Oh,
audience
no.
is getting more critical as time goes on. Like at first I was like, oh thank God, we're just getting gameplay and stuff. Okay, cool. And now it's like, excuse me, like I think I would like a little bit more of this, please. And like we're kind of just getting more critical, and like I'm
We're getting
glad they're
very
just getting
spoiled
back.
because they're getting shown a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad they're just back to communicating and communicating really well, mind you. And even like going back to like showing the jank and showing, stuff like, everyone keeps comparing this to Cyberpunk for many reasons. And the thing about Cyberpunk is they did not show off console gameplay. There was a review embargo, and there's a lot of stuff they didn't show. And I mean, Techland said in their Dying Light 2 delayed till February message that content creators, journalists are going to be able to get their hands on the game early, and that includes PC and console versions of the game. So as long as they're being open and communicating and showing, like, you can be as critical as you like, but it's just, as long as they keep up the communication, I'm happy.
Techland's pretty based.
Yeah.
Someone actually just sent me a message saying, do you think the parkour soundtracks will be local to one player only, or will your co-op's actions also dictate how you will hear the soundtrack?
Interesting.
It could be, like, since the host dictates, like, the world, the physical setting, maybe that also dictates the music. So, like, certain zones are set up because, like, factions, like, it mimics the host. But if you're in two different areas of the game, you'd be experiencing different music. If one person's down on the ground, there's no music, someone's up high, then I suppose, you exist in the host's world, and you go by the same rules that the host does, I'm guessing.
You know, I hope they do that right, because in Dying Light 1, if one person's Crane says a line, the other one says it as well, even if they're on the other side of the map. So Crane will be talking to himself when the other person's Crane is talking to an NPC or something.
Yeah, I hope that it's something small, but I actually would hope that they get that right in Dying Light 2. I also wonder how much freedom the other co-op players will have, or if every single person needs to be there for every single cutscene and interaction like in Dying Light 1. Because I know in Dead Island it's actually different. You can actually be there together for some areas, and you don't need to be there for others.
Yeah, I know it. I think, is it Dead Island, where like you can do multiple quests at the same time?
Absolutely.
Like,
it's just main story quests you have to be together for.
Yeah. Like in co-op, one person can be on one side of the map doing something, and someone else do something else.
In
It's
some
great.
cases in Dead Island, the main quest is split into help these other people with side quests. Like help people on the left. And in those cases, you can just do the quests separately and then just come back together to talk to people.
Yeah. I kind of learned that when I was speedrunning with someone.
With Anonymous?
Yeah. It was
Nice.
actually quite fun. I mean, he kind of led the way because he knows way more about the
He's
game than I do
insane,
and
yeah.
everything. But it was actually quite funny what you could do sometimes.
Yeah, was that
With how,
definitive
like-
or was that the original version?
Definitive. Definitive's broken. I never knew how broken Definitive was compared to vanilla.
Definitive is actually terrible. It looks
Yeah.
great. That's it. It's I could
Is
go
it
at,
really
like,
that
so many
bad?
reasons. Yeah, I mean, I'm an original Dead Island fanboy, so like I love the original game, all like flaws and everything, the jank, the glitches that like don't break the game, but to me just make it more fun. And what they did with Definitive was that they took away a lot of the fun glitches and stuff, and then they introduced new jank and new glitches that aren't fun, and it just feels
Like
ugh.
there's like the firecrackers equivalent of like meat bait that only works in vanilla.
Yeah,
In Definitive, it just doesn't attract them. It just doesn't work. It's an entire mechanic that is just non-existent. There's also a lot of bushes that have just the textures but no actual mesh, so you can just walk through them.
Yeah,
In Definitive only.
Yeah, and more than half, like I'd say 70% maybe, of the weapon blueprints were actually missing from the Definitive Edition when it launched. Like they just were not in the game, like just no blueprints. So they had to add those in, but then they accidentally added a bunch of jank when they added those in as well, and it just, But there are things I like about the original Dead Island where, like if you can jump from any height you like, and just before you hit the ground, you can side jump, and that resets your fall distance, so you don't take any fall damage. And like they took that away, which is understandable, but like I just loved doing that.
Good to clutch yourself from falling to death.
Yeah.
By doing that.
Just stopped giving a shit. It was like Dying Light level parkour. Like it was ridiculous the jumps that you could do. But yeah. Someone asked before what co-op is going to be like. It's just going to be the same as the first game, Dying Light. So it's just 4-player co-op. I'm not sure about PvP yet. Dead Island 2 was going to be 8-player co-op, which would have been... Yeah. They were marketing it as like the world's smallest MMO is what they were trying to create. It was going to be seamless 8-player co-op where people just drop in and out, as they said, seamlessly. So that would have been the first in either franchise where it would be 8 people. But I have no idea what's...
Seamless is impressive. Seamless is really impressive.
Yeah.
Yep, it was very much...
What they said is impressive is just a matter if they lived up to it, and well...
Yeah, they said that back in 2014, I think, so...
Oh,
yeah.
no. Was it Techland that worked on the Definitive Edition? I don't think so, because that came out after they split with Deep Silver, didn't they?
It did come out after. I think maybe some of the developers... There might be in a specific team that did. I'm not sure, actually. I just remember I reported some stuff to Techland, because I didn't really know who else to report it to at the time. I was just chatting to some of them, where when they patched in the missing blueprints, they also accidentally patched in the developer menu. So you could activate God mode, you could spawn in any weapons you liked, and just like the game was just not running properly. So I was like, I've got to like send this to someone because this is out of control. And then it ended up getting taken care of. But I'm not sure who the specific team was behind the Definitive Edition.
That kind of reminds me of modding in Dying Light. How initially they closed off any kind of modding, even like the regular kind of Data 3 kind of modding you would want for everyone in Dying Light, and then there was a whole outrage about it, which was understandable because we can't mod our game. What? You're barring that side of the community. But then they turned around and said, "Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, sorry about that. That was a mistake. Now you can actually mod the game, but you can't do it online. Where people can cheat against each other, sort of thing. Except they accidentally left that part in. So." People with mods can go and join other people who don't have any mods and cheat against them, despite the fact that originally, if people wanted to play online with mods, they would both have to install the same mods, although that vision is lost because people get away with it.
And that's all because the game runs on the same engine, and it's a Dead Island Definitive Edition file they use to reroute their mods to make the game read their mods instead of the original files.
Damn,
And it only works because it's basically Dead Island, but just like...
Huh.
You guys see this good old infected in the background right here? Spitting some green.
He's shooting a Halo plasma pistol.
That's what it looks like, actually.
Wait, what is that? Oh, it's a spit, isn't it? From like one of those new spitter enemies, I guess, right?
Looks like it.
What is that?
It does look like a projectile. Yeah, it's coming towards you in those little frames. There's enemies going through it.
Yeah.
Like it arcs up towards you.
I don't remember them showing off that kind in the.
I don't either.
I think it's just because it wasn't that unique enough to show off. Like toads are kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
Well, they're annoying as hell in Nightmare because they're the grenade sort of launch thing projectile. If it hits you, it deals 100 HP or like almost 100 HP of damage in Dying Light on Nightmare. But apart from that, they're kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
They're really weird because like if you stomp the head's still there.
That's right.
Kind of funny.
Yeah.
Same with the what do you call it? The scientist zombies, the gas tank ones.
Oh yeah, stomping those is always a fun time. The hazmat zombies.
I like how you just hear the you crush the skull and you see the blood pour out, but it's just like the hazmat still contained. It would be really nice detail if like the head just kind of crumpled in, like as if there was nothing, there's no head inside it, you know, because you crushed it. So like the hazmat helmet thing would just kind of fold in on itself when you did that.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Look, I appreciate the production quality for the Rosario Dawson.
It
was
seems
like,
so
they
over
kinda
the
went really
top.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
seems so over the top.
You gotta bring up that.
She's
Silent
great.
Boy thing. I don't understand the point of the photography there too if it wasn't for face scans. But hey, it's cool. Like that it's cool. Like looking at all like the different emotions he's pulling off for like freeze frame kind of things, as the camera pans and rotates. But I don't see how that has any relation to the game. It's quite funny. But maybe as like references for the animators or something. I don't know, because some of it might not be mocap. I assume there would be a lot of mocap, but maybe not.
One random thing that came to mind, actually, just going back to mods and how they initially weren't necessarily allowed or whatnot. The part of that that annoyed me was that when Dying Light launched, you couldn't customize the HUD and other like elements like that. It wasn't until Dying Light the following when they released like the enhancements update, where they actually added in those options for the game. So like you had to mod it on PC to like remove the HUD, and if you're on console, you just couldn't. Like you just couldn't customize little things like that, which seems like something that's like really simple and should be included. And I just hope that it is from launch, because I can't see why it wouldn't be, especially at this point. But especially just from a content creation perspective, sometimes you don't want to have the heads-up display if you're trying to make something cinematic.
Yeah.
So
and even if you turn off the HUD in Dying Light 1, you still have the little crosshair dot in the middle of your screen, which isn't that noticeable, but if you really pay attention, you can see it.
You can turn off the crosshair too. Like it's an individual setting.
It's a separate setting, yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
ignore me. I've recorded all my stuff with that. My God.
1,000 hours, by the way. 1,000 hours, by the way.
Is that also in the same menu, like in the game menu? Like
Yeah.
right next to
I'm
the
pretty
HUD
sure
thing? Oh
it's
my
in the
God.
same tab of the settings, like in gameplay or something.
Bruh.
You're just speedrunning that shit, man.
And in fact, I haven't used the crosshair dot in like all of my time in Dying Light. Like when I originally started the game, I didn't like it because it broke the immersion, so I just disabled it, and I've been just eyeballing all my aim ever since.
Nice.
If I don't have the crosshair from like the grappling hook or something.
Speaking of immersion, with the Dead Island-esque weapon upgrade system that they have in Dying Light 2, makes you think of any other kind of systems that they're going to bring from exclusively appeared in Dead Island and not Dying Light. What if they bring back like health bars for on top of enemies? Because you can disable them in Dead Island, I'm pretty sure, but that's very immersion breaking and very cartoony. I wonder if I had that.
True.
Yeah, the cartoony part is something I was never a big fan of, and that's one of the biggest reasons I don't really like Dead Island, and I like Dying Light way more.
I don't think it suits the aesthetic, the atmosphere that they're going for in Dying Light, where it's more realistic, more immersive.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that Dead Island was also overall more RPG focused. Like it had more RPG elements in general. I remember at the time people were comparing it to Borderlands a lot, with certain aspects at the time, like 2011. Whereas Dying Light was more of a pivot towards like horror survival with some RPG elements kind of in there, but less, like RPG cartoony focus. So I mean, like but by all means they could bring it back and they could just make it a bit simple, just like a simple white health bar. That could look gritty and could fit the theme. If they do, it would be nice if it's optional. With all these heads-up display things, it's just nice if they're optional, to give the power to the player.
I love what Doom Eternal did. You could customize what parts of the HUD is visible, the opacity, the location of them, and what colors they have.
Yes.
Like, and you can mix and match whatever you want. It's pretty nice.
That's the
Although
word.
I was lazy, and I just kind of did presets.
Look at this difference. Oh my god.
Oh wow.
I like
Someone in
the
chat
sunset
told me to
vibe.
Oh, whoa, yeah. Okay, absolutely correct that they did change. Oh, wow.
That's yeah. Last rights. Thank you for telling us that. That is big time. I wonder if it's. Holy crap! Yeah.
You should just like screenshot both and put them next to each other and just like make that as like a meme. I don't know.
Honestly,
it's quite nice though. I actually like the look of the new one.
Oh, it's a huge upgrade, yeah.
Also, I'm not sure if Kiwi, you were here when I said it. I'm not sure if it was this only when we were back on Pony's VC, but Dancy said that the reason why her model was different is because they were using a placeholder model to not spoil Rosario Dawson's appearance.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works
Hey,
for me.
you got the snipping tool.
Of course, snipping tool comes in clutch.
Yeah, there are a lot of people just complaining about, you know, politically correct stuff. So, oh yeah, they got
okay.
Yeah, they got. Oh yeah, they changed to you know.
They didn't suddenly hire a new actress and then get all like this has been in the works for a while, guys. Like, yeah, it makes sense that they had a placeholder because they wanted to
last
reveal.
second decision of a big actress, by the way. Trust.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, it is a huge upgrade as well.
This is insane.
It looks so much
this
better.
This is yeah, this is from May, and this one is from September. That's a massive upgrade.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when Dying Light upgraded the player models, when once again they released the enhancements update alongside the following. They actually upgraded the NPC models, and you could do like a side-by-side with Lena. And it was like a pretty big difference.
Didn't the OG models look really different as well? Like entirely, like not just like visually, but like they actually like changed Lena's model and everything, like the clothes she was wearing and everything.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, they did make some pretty big changes.
Also, they added the wings on the back of the fresh clothes thing. I remember Novix pointed it out in his iceberg video. The old fresh clothes before the enhanced edition didn't have any wings. It was just you know the yellow shirt. But now on the, I was always wondering like because I remember playing the game at release, and then I remember picking up the game again in 2017, and I was like, something feels different about the fresh clothes outfit. I just can't tell what it is though. And then as soon as I pointed out that the wing pattern on the back of the fresh clothes thing wasn't always there, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense now. So odd addition, or odd change, but you know, it's kind of interesting how they change things every now and then. You know, even slightly.
Someone pointed this out in my chat. Look at the buildings in the background from the old one compared to the new one. But one rendered buildings now.
Oh yeah.
They were constructed.
That probably means that's kind of telling me that's like more of a background sort of thing behind like
yeah, for sure.
Behind the edge of the map sort of thing, rather than something that's playable. If it's something that's playable, then that's a radical change.
Could you imagine? Well, it looks like I'm trying to see if that's the wall that blocks the city in.
You can kind of see like the misty sort of fog from like the toxic spill that they were talking about that happened. I can't remember what they called it. I remember like the event where like I think it was the survivors. Not the survivors. What's the Colonel's men? What do you call them? Wasn't it them who?
Dumped it.
Spilled. Who dumped the toxins across, the city like years ago, something like that. To try and kill the infected. That kind of failed really badly. I think it's probably actually what led to a lot of the mutations of the new infected too, probably as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they're implying with the comic lore.
You know, I still actually haven't actually read the comic. I need to get around to that. I have the PDF.
Oh yeah.
Kiwi, have you read it already?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
Thanks for providing it. I've got it.
You should do it on stream now.
Right now.
Yeah, I actually have to go to work like real soon.
Oh man. Wait, what time is it for you right now?
It's 9:42, so I start work at 10.
What day is it for you?
It is Friday, the 1st of October.
Oh, there the course.
Yeah.
How is it a day ahead?
It's still pretty messed up, dude. It's the
Wait,
world's...
isn't New Zealand actually the first country in that actually, you know, in terms of time zones, it's the most forward country, right?
Correct. Along with I think Fiji and like some of the islands are in the same time zone. But yeah, we are we are GMT plus 12, or right now we're plus 13 because of daylight savings.
I think I remember flying from Hawaii to New Zealand one time, or vice versa, and I experienced Christmas twice one time years ago. That was really funny.
This is something that I actually haven't told on stream before. Like when Techland flew me to Washington to Seattle, Washington for PAX West 2018, they kind of got my name wrong in the tickets. They put my middle name as my last name when they sorted it out for me.
Oh no!
So when I arrived it was a connecting flight in Honolulu to Seattle. When I arrived in Honolulu, they actually like wouldn't let me into the country. Like I was stranded in the airport. They wouldn't let me take the connecting flight, so I arrived a full day later. The thing had already like kicked off, like the event had like started and everything, and I was just like, you think like Hawaii of all places would be a really good place to be stranded, but I could not leave the airport. So like, but I was like quite patient and like really polite with the people who were helping me. So they were like, you know what, you were so nice, and they gave me a bunch of vouchers to use like to get food there and stuff. But it turns out like Honolulu Airport is huge, and it's just a weird feeling being completely like isolated.
How long were you stuck there?
I was stuck there for about I was about like 6 hours maybe till like till they sorted it out, and then like the next flight and stuff. But yeah, like I arrived in like the middle of the night, and then just like the next day. And was like pretty much a full day behind schedule. That's just a random thing that I experienced that was pretty crazy. But yeah, not too fond of Honolulu Airport actually.
After that experience.
Yeah, man, I was freaking out. Yeah, they were like, why are you trying to enter the country? And I accidentally put for business instead of for pleasure in terms of like declaring why you're entering the country, because like, well, technically this is kind of business, right? And they're like, who are you? Like, why were you planning on not leaving? And I was like, no, I swear, like I'm just here. So like, oh, who are you working with? They're Techland, they're from Poland. Wait, they're from Poland? Then why are you here in the United States? No, but like it was a whole mess.
Oh man.
But yeah, I will probably head off now so I can just get ready for work. But this was cool. Actually, I think this is the first time we've actually sat down in a group and just like talked in general, like over voice chat, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So I've been getting lots of comments in the stream saying that.
If all goes well, coming up soon, it won't be the last.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, tomorrow, right? We thinking about? Or is it tomorrow? No,
Wait.
2 days from now. Thinking about doing a little.
Wait, when is it?
Little sussy thing.
Yeah.
Little sussy thing.
October 2nd, 4 p.m. EST. I think that's the date that was agreed by everyone.
Wait, do we have events in the server? Can we make like an event for that?
Oh, I should actually.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think we have that feature enabled in this server.
I don't nitro or anything.
Admin.
I have no idea how to do that either.
You have to be an admin, I think.
I'll chuck admin to Oni. I'll chuck admin to you as well, Vicky.
Oh, I am now yellow.
Hey, all right, sweet. I'm gonna head off. Catch you soon, boys.
Right.
Lovely talking to you.
Yep.
See ya.
See you later.
All right, stream. Thanks for tuning in. I'm so hyped for this game. Like, it was a while ago when I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm really into Dying Light 2 at the moment. Maybe I need like a bit longer of a break. Maybe December's too soon, and then I got pushed back a couple months. But man, like, just watching the content, talking to these guys is awesome. Personally, don't like recognizing faces in video games. I feel like one of the advantages of video game is, yeah, It's like when you watch a movie and you're really immersed, and then you see like a real famous actor, and you're like, oh, this is not Tom, the character. You know, like, this is Daniel Radcliffe. This is Harry Potter. Why is Harry Potter in my movie? Like, I get that. It can break the immersion. Old models were cool. Yeah, like, I get that. Yeah, the old models were, like, it's a difference, right? And especially, it was an entire year before they introduced the new player models and Dying Light the Following came out. So it makes sense if you were really attached for that 1 year, you know, and then they change it all of a sudden. Completely makes sense. Yeah, but thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you again soon. I'll post up a stream schedule at some point so I can actually play some games and not just sit here and watch YouTube videos. And as you heard, I'm going to be playing some games with these guys, with Oni Zombies, Aussie GG, Vilky8, and a bunch of other people as well. So, yeah, look out for that. That's going to be in a couple days. Yeah, 4 p.m. EDT on October 2nd. October 2nd, 4 p.m. EDT, EST, which for me is going to be a Sunday morning on the 3rd. Anyway, cheers, guys. Catch you again later.